there's this mixture of sort of butter and eggs on the top that form a real nice sauce. You want that real liquidiness, or I want that real liquidiness to it. And then underneath, there's these kind of golden waves of egg. Hey everyone, it's Kenji. Today we're going to be making Cantonese-style scrambled eggs. So this is a recipe I first saw on Chinese Cooking Demystified. If you're unfamiliar with it, you should familiarize yourself because it's real good. Oh, hi Chen. So Cantonese-style scrambled eggs, also known as Whampoa eggs. This recipe, apocryphally created by the Tonka people, which were who are a river-dwelling people in the Pearl River Delta near Canton, near Old Canton. And so originally it was supposedly made with duck eggs and seasoned with fish sauce. Today we make it with chicken eggs. There are various versions of this recipe. You know, I've seen chefy versions where the eggs are cooked sort of the way we're going to be cooking today, where the eggs are cooked and they're meant to look like a yellow flag that's folded, or like golden waves of wheat. I've seen also versions that are made in the street where the eggs are much more similar to sort of really soft scrambled eggs. But the idea though is that the eggs are going to be sort of half cooked and still half liquid. So they're kind of eggs that kind of form their own sauce. What they do is they add a cornstarch slurry to their scrambled eggs. And I actually like to do the same thing. It's a thing that I sometimes do with even with my Western style scrambled eggs if I really want them extra soft and creamy. The idea is that as your eggs tighten up, you know, as they cook and the proteins start to tighten up, the cornstarch slurry will actually sort of interfere with those proteins tightening, and so they keep everything a little bit more tender. So even the idea is that even if you slightly overcook your eggs, which is real easy to do, they're still going to remain nice and tender and hold onto their moisture a lot better. So that was a teaspoon of cornstarch that I mixed with a tablespoon of water. I'm also going to season my eggs with a little bit of fish sauce, which is the classic seasoning for this. You don't have to use fish sauce. You can go just salt, or you could do a little dash of soy sauce if you want. My friend Sho Spaeth, who works at Serious Eats, did work at Serious Eats and now works for Chef Steps here in Seattle. He has a recipe on Serious Eats for a version of this dish that he ate growing up, where he makes a series of real thin omelets that are then seasoned with soy sauce and kind of stacked. But you know, no matter what version you make, the idea is that you want your eggs to be real soft, and you get that nice contrast between the cooked eggs and the raw eggs. The final thing I'm going to add here is some butter. This is a couple tablespoons of butter that I've cut into little cubes. Also not really necessary and not necessarily part of of a more traditional recipe, but I like the way that the butter kind of melts into the eggs as they cook. It keeps them a little bit more tender. It keeps them, gives them a little bit of richness. And also you're going to see as I cook them, some of that butter is going to stay on the top, and so then as we leave the raw eggs on top, the butter kind of melts over, so it makes a more sort of rich and luxurious sauce. All right, so now I'm going to get my plate ready. This cooks real fast, so you want to have a plate of rice ready to go for when the eggs are done. And we're going to be cooking this in 2 batches in the wok. All right, so my wok here, this is a 14-inch heavy gauge flat bottom wok. This one, I use a wok called the Joyce Chen Pro, but honestly, any wok that's made of carbon steel is at least 16 gauge, so about a little 1.5 millimeters thick or so, and 14-inch flat bottom is what I would recommend. Carbon steel is carbon steel, so honestly, and any wok that you can find that fits that description is going to work. This particular one is the Joyce Chen Pro. Now the key to cooking eggs, or almost anything in a wok, the key to cooking eggs in a wok is that you really want to preheat it well, and that's what's going to prevent the wok from, prevent the eggs from sticking. You know, there's this idea, people talk about seasoning a wok. When you're talking about seasoning a wok, it's a little bit different from seasoning a Western style cast iron pan. So a cast iron pan, you know, something like this, when you're talking about seasoning, you're talking about building up layers of polymer inside. So every time you heat oil in a cast iron pan, some of that oil polymerizes and turns into a sort of plastic-like non-stick substance. And you're heating it up repeatedly, and you're getting this sort of layer after layer of polymers built up in a Western style cast iron pan. With a wok, that doesn't actually really happen, mainly because, first of all, there's in a wok, you're heating unevenly, so the bottom is going to heat a lot more than the top areas. And so what you find is that if you try and build up a layer of polymers, because the metal expands and contracts at different rates, those hard polymers will actually sort of flake off. So really, in a wok, when we're talking about heating, we're not talking about building up those polymers. We're really talking about a sort of per use seasoning. So really what we're talking about is just properly preheating it. When you're using a wok on a Western style range, you'll find that there's a hole in the center, and so sometimes the very bottom of your wok won't heat as evenly as the rest. And so I do like to kind of move it around a little bit like that just to make sure that we're really evenly heated. All right, so once our wok starts smoking hot, we're going to reduce the heat down to sort of a medium-low. And now I'm just using a neutral oil. This is sunflower oil. You can use any kind of sort of neutral cooking oil. Canola, rice bran, avocado, whatever your oil of choice is. Swirl it around to get it all around the wok. Okay. And then we're going to go in with half of our egg mixture here. You should see it kind of bubble and puff immediately. And then we're going to swirl it around to get the egg in a sort of even layer all the way around. And as soon as we're at the point where most of the egg is kind of set, but we still have liquid on top like that, see, now we're going to start kind of pushing the egg with our wok spatula from one side. The idea here is that we don't want to fold it necessarily like a Western omelet. We do want that kind of liquid egg to stay on top. So rather than folding it over, we're kind of trying to bundle it up into these kind of waves like that, you see? And so there's still some liquid egg remaining on top. Now we're going to transfer it over to our rice. Trying to leave that liquid on top. And I'm going to put it over half because I'm going to cook one more batch of these eggs. So people comment about how, I've heard people comment before when I cook in a wok, how my eggs don't ever stick. And some people think that it's because my wok is sort of well seasoned and I've been using it for so long. This would work just as well on a brand new wok. It really is just about how you're preheating it as opposed to how sort of seasoned in the traditional Western sense the wok is. So I've done this with a wok, like basically fresh out of the box. You just clean it and preheat it, and the eggs will not stick as long as you're properly preheating. All right, so we're smoking hot again. And reduce the heat down to medium-low again. Add a couple teaspoons of oil. Swirl it around. And then go in with the rest of our eggs. And again, I'm just going to kind of lazily let this swirl around to get that sheet of eggs all around the wok. And you can see those little bits of butter that are remaining. That's totally okay. As the eggs sit on the plate and as we start to sort of collect it from the wok, those bits of butter are going to melt and form that really nice, rich sauce. Again, so I'm kind of pushing it from one side, loosening it up a little bit, but trying not to fold it. Come back over here. We're going to let that kind of wave of eggs flow over our rice like that. Alrighty. And finally, I'm going to just garnish this with some scallions. You can use chives if you want, or nothing if you don't want anything. And that's about it. Let me grab a little spoon and try this. So you can see there's this mixture of sort of butter and eggs on the top that form a real nice sauce. You want that real liquidiness, or I want that real liquidiness to it. And then underneath, there's these kind of golden waves of egg. That's delicious. From Chinese Cooking Demystified, they say that these are the best scrambled eggs. I don't know that they're necessarily the best scrambled eggs. It's really hard to say what the best is. Yeah. Let's see if Chen thinks they're the best scrambled eggs. They are certainly real good scrambled eggs. All right, these are Whampoa eggs, Cantonese-style scrambled eggs. Guys, gals, and non-binary pals, I will see you next time. Hey everyone, I hope you enjoyed the video. You can find the full article and recipe along with bonus content and my newsletter for free on my Patreon. Don't forget to subscribe to this YouTube channel for more videos like this, or my alternate channel, Kenji Lopez Main, for my dining content. And follow me on Instagram at Kenji Lopez-Alt for daily updates. You can also get signed and personalized copies of any of my books. That's The Food Lab, The Wok, or my children's book, Every Night is Pizza Night, shipped from Book Larder here in Seattle. Find the links to all of this, as well as all of the tools I used in today's video, in the description below. Thanks.